Hey Toby, great to meet you. Thank you for joining us on our Piscari Insights program. Yeah, very good indeed, really good, and really appreciate your time. So thank you. So today we talked before about the there are three questions that we'd like to cover. So let's get straight into the questions. But just before that, just explain to the audience who you are and what you do broadly.
Well, I'm the founder of a company called the Lead Lab. We were born nearly 10 years ago now, of a company that supplies part-time financial directors into businesses in the 1 to 25 million turnover space. From there, we've gone on to have clients such as NatWest Bank, Nationwide Bank, all the way through to Kenco and Darragh in the coffee space. So lots of different professional services, but all business-to-business lead generation, predominantly via high-volume telemarketing. But in the last 2 to 3 years, we also offer high-volume LinkedIn marketing as well.
Okay.
And that's our job really is when there's a gap in a business around lead gen, i.e. they may have a sales team or a MD that doesn't have the time to be doing the prospecting. We very much come into that space where we'll go and target a large group of people on the phone or on LinkedIn and then qualify them out, get interest, and then put that into people's diaries for them to do what they're good at and convert business.
Brilliant. So that leads us nicely into the first question, which is, is telemarketing dead? Everyone talks about, it was great 20 years ago, it doesn't work now, so is it dead? And if not, why not?
No, it's definitely not dead. I think obviously over the years we've had to get more intelligent, and as I mentioned earlier, we use multiple touch points. So we don't just telemarket. When we do campaigns, 100% of the time it goes along with email marketing, so it's something that's held its hand to generate interest, but also create urgency with the contact that we're trying to contact. But also we do, up to multiple touch points, even to where we use LinkedIn as well. Now, all those tools, email marketing, LinkedIn marketing are great, but if you've got a relatively complicated product or a high-level product, and something that may be number 15, number 12 on a MD's priority list or a HR director's priority list, what we do is we accelerate that process. Having someone getting engagement and content is pushing it more at the priority list. Otherwise, that lead, that opportunity can pass itself by. They get referred into someone else. It's as much about capturing opportunity as it is finding it. We have some clients that have a lot of lead generation themselves, and they want us to follow them up because their sales team will only ring it once, which in our world is it's criminal, because obviously lots of people are busy and they're not necessarily ready to return your call the second you ring them. So we are a safety net for that to make sure that no opportunity goes missing, basically.
I mean, just out of interest, how many contact points do you reckon normally?
Depending on the client value, dependent on the size of market, it can be anywhere up to 10. But sometimes if it's cold calling, so if there's no engagement whatsoever, it would be 3 calls. Obviously, not in the business of pestering people. That's only 3 calls, but that may be also 3 LinkedIn messages, potentially emails as well. So there's multiple touch points there. We would do up to 10 when there's been some sort of engagement via social, via email. Then we would call them up to 10 times because they've expressed an interest in some shape or form. Then there's more value in following them up. It's not a cold piece of data. It's some relatively interested lead. And and like you say, our clients, their sales reps, their MDs, they don't necessarily have the mindset or the skill set or the want to be contacting that lead more than once. They think they can call it once, send an email, and that's their job done, which is obviously not a great way to do business if you have a high value client lead. So which is where we come in. We're more than comfortable to do that and to make sure opportunity doesn't knock off. All the other thing that happens is they say, okay, I'm interested, but not quite now. When you get them on the 4th call, and then we follow them up there and bring them in a month's time as well, which maybe would never happen if the sales director or the MD was doing it, just because they don't necessarily have the time, not their skill set or their mindset. And the other thing we do as a technology, if you've got someone in your office and they're just picking up a Google spreadsheet and dialing, that is a dead art because the volume is not there. They can make 60, 100 calls manually dialing. Through our systems and software and tech, we can do 250 calls and 250 emails with one person in a day, which is where people get confused between what's dead and what's not dead. If you can deliver efficiencies, then obviously there's a huge opportunity there and multiple touch points in that. For example, our telemarketers have one-click dispositions between activities, which allows that one click to send the email and call the next number. which is what allows us to deliver the sort of volumes that we do. But yeah, it's very bespoke. Every client is different. We have some clients that use our systems, other clients we use their systems. But we know what works, and it's different for everyone really.
And if you talk about kind of like this multiple touch points, just for a typical kind of like B2B company, someone like the kind of the FD Centre, which has been one of your kind of key clients, has been very successful. Just in general, rather than them specifically, how would a kind of campaign work in terms of these multiple touch points? What would your kind of people be doing?
Well, a lot of the time we would get data that was already had LinkedIn information on it, already had telephone number, already had email, and then what we do is we pre-write a lot of what feels and appears to be engaging personal copy, but we pre-structure it into our system that allows for whatever disposition. Let's say we've got 10 dispositions, 10 outcomes of a call. There will be 10 email copies written for that, which would appear personal to that individual and appear personal to that outcome, which would then maybe get sent to the LinkedIn, get sent to their email, but also their call. And those multiple touch points is where people go, wow, this person actually wants to speak to me, and they either look at the content of it and go, no, I'm not interested, or they say, okay, it's about getting their attention. If you just make a phone call and leave a voicemail, they'll be like, who is it? Someone's selling to me, no interest. But those multiple touch points are where they go, actually, that little nugget of information that I've given them in that call, that is beneficial to me and that would be interesting. Then they take the call, and then we obviously sell it a lot further. So yeah, telemarketing is dead if you just pick up the phone and dial manually. But if you've been doing it for 10 years and you know how to deliver efficiencies and volume, and multiple touch points, it's very much a thriving opportunity. Especially when you look at the alternatives, for high level business services, it's not really like LinkedIn adverts or Facebook adverts are going to get you an MD or a big buyer, or it's very hard to target these individuals without targeting them. To be honest, and there's not a lot of other solutions for doing that. They can see passive ads that you can target them with, but again, they're passive. They see it in their newsfeed and they have to engage with it, and you have to call it. And what we do is we do that as well, because obviously we engage with them on multiple touch points, but at the same time, without that telemarketing, it's very much the right hook, if you like. The LinkedIn marketing, the email is your jab, and your calls are your jab, but without that big right hook, that you don't get the appointment or the sale, because it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, if you like.
Yeah. And what about content-based marketing? So what do you do around kind of like building out content to engage those kind of prospects?
I mean, in the spirit of honesty and openness, our longer-term content, we're very much a lead gen company. So we write content in the sense of to generate leads. We write email content, LinkedIn content to generate leads, but that's very much in a messaging format or in a connection format or an email format. To be honest with you, we use another company because they specialize in social media creation content, which is totally different to us. When we talk to our clients and we sell our LinkedIn offering, we say, this service is great for generating leads, and that's what we're about, and that's why we're pushing it to you. But there's another value here. If you're already creating good content, you need to be pushing it out to these people, because they're going to see it over time and get familiar. But at the same time, as I talk about having, dealing with experts, we're experts in telemarketing and lead gen, but this, social media content is very much a niche offering. So it's not something we do, but we recommend a company that we work in conjunction with, and it works really well.
And are there any kind of, we didn't prepare this question, so don't feel that you have to answer it. But
go ahead.
As an industry kind of like norm, that in terms of the cost per acquisition for a lead, typically across all of the blended touch points that you have for B2B, high value B2B services, is there a kind of like a norm for what it would cost to acquire a lead?
It's very difficult because, if you're talking part-time financial directors or high-level IT services or, coffee into a hotel, the spectrum is so sliding scale. To give a generic price point per cost per acquisition is something we could give, but I'm very dubious that I don't think it would give value to my clients, because it's not a number that's necessarily going to be relevant to them. It's also dangerous from a managing expectation point of view. If I've got a client in front of me that is in the finance space or in the IT space or in the coffee space, or insurance is another large part of what we do, then obviously I can have a much more detailed conversation around expectation.
Yeah.
The other thing, it's been a really interesting year, and again, we try to build the company on honesty and openness, to build trust and retain clients is a huge part of what we have to do. It's been quite a difficult year to target what we're going to get month per month, because everyone's connection rate's been up and down based on who's in the office, who isn't in the office. Only really in the last month are we really seeing the connection rates go up again. Obviously in the summer we had a big boom where everyone went back to the office for a bit. So I've been even more dubious to be giving out predictions, if you like.
Exactly.
Because especially if it's a new client. So there's a lot of moving parts. I try to consider everything and have a very open and clear conversation around what my expectations would be. It's about partnerships. We meet people and we want to work with them. Their business becomes our business. Our price point is very competitive in the market, and so for us to make our money, we need to really have long-term relationships with our clients. So it's about managing expectation, but obviously the opportunity for us and the opportunity for our clients is when you're looking for high client value. If people have high client value and they're not doing this sort of thing, they should be, because obviously we can generate a stable, scalable marketing channel for them. For example, lots of our clients have started with someone half-time at £100 per day, and we've worked even up to having 4 or 5 people, even 8 people in on some accounts in the B2C space. So that's what's exciting for us, and also exciting for them. There's that possibility, and at the same time, when they entry with us, it's about making sure the risk is minimal to them. Trying to test the water, if you like, but without, I don't want to take, I don't want to take anyone's money. I'm a small business owner. We've been up to about 40 staff at the most, and after this coronavirus, we're down to about 20 across the board at both companies. So, I can relate to taking someone's marketing money. I've spent tens of thousands of pounds on SEO and all sorts in the past and haven't worked out for me. So for us, it's about, we're good at what we do, but at the same time, every time we get a new product from a new sector, we don't know that sector. We don't know that. Sometimes the clients don't know. That's part of why people come to us.
It takes time.
Of course, it takes time and it takes education. So we sort of try to have that open, honest conversation at the start, but at the same time, make sure the entry point risk and cost is very low. Hence why we have a part-time offering for clients to be able to test the water, for us not to risk our brand as well, because we don't want to be taking people's money that we can't make money. But at the same time, there is a level where you've got to do something from a test the market point of view. We sold sanitized door handles through lockdown, something we've never done. It's a million miles away from stuff we've done in the past, to businesses, into hotels. We've sold into hotels because we've sold a lot of coffee. But we're having that conversation with him, and I was excited about it because I thought it was a time in the world where that was the best time to be doing it. But there's a lot of moving parts, and it went well. But it was an unknown to us both. And I enjoy those relationships because they're exciting and it's an exploratory. But at the same time, we've been doing it for 10 years. We know finance, we know IT, we know tech. We know all those things, coffee, where we know exactly what we can get. Really high-end professional services. And if it's a market where we don't, but they've got a high client value, then there's still an opportunity there, because they can give us £2,000.
When you say high client value, Toby, just explain broadly what does high value mean.
So one of our professional services clients, for example, which I won't mention, they have an average client value of £20,000 for a year. So if we get them 5 meetings in a week for a half-time person at £100 per day, they've spent £500 with us in that week. We've generated 5 leads, and they convert at 20%, say, then that's £20,000 off the back of 500. Obviously, there's costs and stuff, but then that becomes very exciting and very scalable if they've got a decent-sized market. If there's another 100,000 companies to go out, hang on, why have we only got half a person doing this? We should have 5. And obviously, there's infrastructure and systems and processes in place to allow that to happen, and resource at their end to deliver the sales leads. But that's where it works the best. Like any marketing channel, marketing has a cost, and it's about return of investment. Our business, my business education comes from FDs, as you can imagine. I'm a salesperson, but my business education comes from finance directors. So return of investment obviously goes without speaking. Without saying, yeah. So it's just about doing that, really.
Okay. So just kind of like to pull it together as kind of one kind of bigger question, which we just kind of talked about, was around LinkedIn. So there's all sorts of discussions on LinkedIn. I'm a very active LinkedIn participant. And just what's your view on LinkedIn as a kind of business development tool?
I think LinkedIn's great. I'm one of these people that I don't actually use it myself. I don't go on the news feed. I don't really respond to people. But my company uses it massively.
Right.
And what's interesting is I'll speak to people about LinkedIn and they've got an opinion on it. And
right.
one person's opinion is not really that important for a large-scale marketing channel. And if someone rang me and I didn't do this, I'd be like, no, I don't touch LinkedIn, I don't use it, waste of time. And I often have that conversation with people and I say, well, I can tell you it's not, because we have 10 people doing it all day, every day, and it generates opportunity. Now, you might be one of the 95% people that don't respond, and forgive me, I'm making up numbers here, but the 5% that do respond make it valuable. So I educate them from on that point of view. But it's interesting that people have many different uses for it. Now, that's my use for it, and that's how I see value. But there's loads of other people that are much more proactive on it, much more personal on it, in what they write in their stuff, etc. And that works spectacularly well for them. I'm much more interested in marketing channels that I can build and scale that don't take my time.
Yes.
Because then I can obviously sell those services, but also they're valuable to me because I can scale them, and it's probably how we initially ended up having a conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Off the back of a process like that. And there's no right or wrong. There's just what's right for you. So
but you see LinkedIn as being LinkedIn's a very active and important channel within that business to business.
It's an extremely important tool from an access and individual's point of view to me, because it gives you the power to target people, job title, sector, size of business, and it gives me the ability to do it in volume. And obviously I've connected a few more dots to make it a process and make it an offering, if you like. But there's lots of people in the world that will spend 2 hours on their LinkedIn a day connecting and messaging people, and that works for them great. All I do is say, look, if you think this is valuable and you don't have the time to do it, let us do it for you. Yeah,
exactly. And I think the discussions that I've seen and kind of been participating in is around, as long as it's done ethically and it's done in a quality way, and as you say, you're not spamming people or pestering people, and there's no bots involved, then it's a good way of building a top of funnel pipeline.
Yeah, and like you say, we don't send any more than 2 messages, one of which goes with the connection message, which is very much a generic short message. There's no sale in it, just happy to add you to my network sort of thing. And then we send one message that once they can accept that connection, of our offering, which, if you don't do that, what is the point of LinkedIn? So, we never send a third message on that platform. But at the same time, we have clients that it's not right for ethically either. And some clients it's great for. So, business is just so different, and we're a marketing tool that goes across a lot of different sectors. And it's just what's right for you, really.
So, Toby, thank you. It's been really interesting to look at some of the, telemarketing isn't dead, but it's about multiple touch points, which I think is a key message. Where can people find out more about you?
Just from our website. It's just theleadlab.com, THELEADLAB.com. All our contact details are on there. We've got information about ourselves, some case studies on there. There's, everything you can imagine on a regular website, all our different services, and a number of different things that will tell you a bit more about us and give you a bit more insight to us as a business. And it's just theleadlab.com.
Very good. Thank you. Toby, been great. Thank you.
Pleasure. Good to speak to you, Mike, as always.